Welcome, friend. I'm James, your host, and today we're diving into another captivating episode. Grab a drink, get comfortable, and get ready for a powerful story that's sure to resonate. If something hits home, share your thoughts in the comments. Let's dive in.
My world just crumbled, found out my dad isn't my biological father, and now I'm on my own. Hey Reddit, I'm 18M and I'm still trying to process the bombshell my dad dropped on me just a few days ago. Buckle up because this is a wild ride and I could use some support right now. My entire life feels like it has been flipped upside down, and I'm left standing in the wreckage, unsure of what to do next. Picture this. I've grown up in sunny Los Angeles, a sprawling city filled with dreams, ambition, and that ever-present glimmer of possibility. From a young age, I was taught that anything could happen here. It's a city where stories unfold at every corner. My family seemed to epitomize that ideal. We had Sunday barbecues in the backyard, complete with laughter echoing off the walls and the scent of grilled burgers wafting through the air. Road trips to the beach were frequent, and I cherished the memories made on the sand, the waves crashing around us. My dad, an engineer with a knack for fixing anything from broken toys to car engines, was my rock. We spent weekends hiking up the nearby hills, the sun shining down on us, or playing basketball in the driveway, the sound of our sneakers on the pavement punctuating our friendly rivalry. Every moment felt special, and I thought I had a solid foundation to build my future on. I was the quintessential kid next door, bursting with dreams and aspirations, ready to conquer the world, unaware that my life was built on a precarious lie. But then everything changed. Out of nowhere, my dad pulled me aside one evening, a grim look in his eyes that instantly set off alarm bells in my mind. The sun was setting, casting an eerie orange glow across our living room, and I could feel the weight of the moment pressing down on us like a thick fog. It felt as if the universe was holding its breath, waiting for me to absorb what was coming. I had just been accepted to the same college my siblings attended, eagerly looking forward to discussing my future with my parents. I had dreams of joining them, being part of that academic journey. My heart raced with excitement as I imagined the college experience, the late-night study sessions, new friends, and unforgettable memories. But as I sat there, I had no idea that this conversation would shatter my world into a million pieces. He started with the usual small talk, but I could tell he was stalling, struggling to find the right words. I could see his hands trembling slightly, and a pit formed in my stomach. When he finally got to the point, it felt like the floor dropped out from under me. He told me that my mom had an affair 18 years ago, and that I'm the result of that infidelity. My heart raced, and my mind went blank. I couldn't breathe. This was the kind of secret that should have been shouted from the rooftops, not buried deep within the family vault. The room spun as I struggled to process the reality being thrust upon me. My entire life felt like a carefully constructed facade that was crumbling around me. I fought back tears, the sting of betrayal cutting deep. How could the person I looked up to for everything have kept this from me? It was a cruel twist of fate that made me question everything I thought I knew about my family. The very air felt charged with tension as I struggled to understand how my life could be such a tangled web of lies. Then came the gut punch. He informed me that he wouldn't be paying for my college. My older siblings had their entire college experience funded. Tuition, rent, cars, food, you name it, Dad had it covered. Meanwhile, I was left to fend for myself. I sat there in stunned silence, the reality hitting me like a tidal wave. I had always assumed that my parents had saved up for me, just like they had for my siblings. But instead, I was faced with a cruel truth. I was not their son, not in the way I had believed all these years. It felt like the very ground beneath my feet had given way, leaving me dangling over an abyss of uncertainty. My dreams of college started to dissolve into a haze of panic. I couldn't wrap my head around the fact that my entire existence was built on a lie, and now I was being pushed off a cliff without a parachute. The fear of what lay ahead gnawed at me, turning my stomach into knots. As my dad spoke, I felt anger bubbling beneath the surface, mixing with confusion and heartbreak. How could he betray me like this? He recounted how my mother had 18 years to tell me the truth, but chose not to. "It was never my place to say anything," he said, his voice steady yet distant, "because I didn't want to interfere with your mother's parenting." The words echoed in my mind like a haunting refrain. How could he not see how deeply this affected me? I was still that kid who looked up to him, who thought he was my hero. He had given me a life that felt secure, and now that security was slipping through my fingers like sand. The anger began to simmer within me, threatening to boil over. Did he think I could just accept this reality without question? In the days that followed, I tried to reach out to my mom, but I was a coward. I felt too raw, too vulnerable to confront her. I wanted to scream, to unleash all the emotions pent up inside me, but the words stuck in my throat. Every time I passed her in the hallway, my heart raced with conflicting feelings of love and betrayal. I rehearsed what I would say a million times in my head, yet when the moment came, I could barely meet her eyes. When I finally did sit down with her, all I got was a stream of tears and apologies that felt so hollow. "I'm sorry," she repeated, "but sorry doesn't change the past or help me with the future." It felt like I was sitting across from a stranger who had taken everything from me: the sense of security, the family unit I thought I belonged to. The very foundation of my life felt like it had crumbled into dust. She was supposed to have the talk with me, the one that would prepare me for this very moment. But she never did. I felt betrayed, and the hurt I felt was suffocating. Her inability to provide any solid guidance or comfort in this moment only deepened my despair, leaving me feeling more isolated than ever. Now I'm left feeling unmoored, like a ship lost at sea without a compass. The reality of my situation is suffocating. I'm stuck in my room most days, scrolling through Reddit, trying to find some semblance of guidance. I have about $400 to my name and no job experience to fall back on. I've never had to think about financial aid, loans, or part-time work because I thought my college experience would be secure. I imagined the joy of living on campus, immersing myself in new experiences, and making lifelong friends. But now, those dreams feel like a cruel mirage, teasing me from afar. The fear of being completely alone in this world looms over me like a dark cloud, and I find myself questioning everything I once held dear. What do I do if I can't afford tuition? Should I just give up on my dreams altogether? The more I think about my future, the more daunting it seems. The idea of having to juggle a job while managing coursework feels overwhelming, and the thought of trying to navigate a world that feels so foreign to me is paralyzing. I find myself lying awake at night, staring at the ceiling, my mind racing with all the what-ifs that keep me trapped in a cycle of anxiety. Every day feels heavier than the last. The shame of leaving my room is paralyzing. I'm terrified of what I might face. I wonder if I'm even welcome at home anymore, or if I'm just an unwelcome reminder of a painful past. The thought of moving out is terrifying. I have nowhere to go. The fear of the unknown grips me, leaving me restless at night as I lie awake contemplating my next steps. I think of my siblings, who have their lives mapped out, while I'm left to navigate this treacherous landscape alone. My sister, already established with a good-paying job, still has my dad footing the bill for almost everything. Meanwhile, I'm left to navigate the treacherous waters of adulthood alone. The idea of college feels like a cruel joke now, and I'm terrified of what my future holds. How can I even begin to put the pieces of my life back together when everything I thought I knew has shattered into pieces? I know I need to talk to my dad again, but I dread the thought of that confrontation. The mixed emotions swirling within me are suffocating. What do I even say? How do I tell him how much his revelation has hurt me? I think of all the times we spent together, all the moments that now feel tainted by this revelation. I want to know if he ever really cared for me or if I was just a byproduct of my mother's choices. I feel like a ghost in my own home, wandering through the halls of a place that once felt like a haven, but now feels like a prison. My thoughts are dark, and I can't shake the feeling that I'm utterly alone in this. So here I am, pouring my heart out to you, Reddit. What do I do? Do I confront my dad again? How do I rebuild my life when I feel like the ground beneath me has completely crumbled? Should I apologize for something that feels so out of my control? I'm so lost and need some direction. I've considered reaching out to friends, but how do I even begin to explain what's happening in my life? Most of them are busy planning their futures, excited about college and life after graduation, while I'm stuck in this dark, twisted reality that seems to isolate me even more. I remember the times we used to gather at my best friend's house, laughing and joking about our plans for the future. Now I can't imagine bringing this heaviness to our conversations. The thought of seeing their faces shift from excitement to pity makes my stomach churn. I can't bear to see their concern or hear the dreaded "I'm so sorry" when all I want is to feel normal again, to pretend that my life isn't spiraling into chaos. With every passing day, the weight on my shoulders grows heavier. I've tried talking to my brother and sister, but they're still reeling from the news. My brother keeps asking if I'm okay, his tone filled with genuine concern, but I can't bring myself to let him in on the depth of my pain. It feels like I'm a puzzle missing pieces, and I'm not even sure where to begin looking for them. My sister, while supportive, is caught up in her own world with her job and college plans, and I don't want to burden her with my struggles when she's just trying to find her footing. In moments of solitude, I find myself scrolling through college forums, desperately searching for advice on financial aid and scholarships. It's overwhelming. Each page I visit serves as a painful reminder of what I once took for granted. I never thought I'd be in a position to need to apply for grants or loans, let alone navigate the complexities of financial aid applications. My heart races at the thought of deadlines approaching, while I feel utterly unprepared. I can't help but wonder what my life would have looked like had my parents been straightforward with me. Would I have started working sooner? Would I have built a safety net for myself? The questions swirl in my mind, a constant reminder of the uncertainty I now face. My nights are plagued with anxiety. I lie awake, staring at the ceiling, replaying the conversation with my dad over and over in my head. I imagine what life would be like if things were different, if my mom had been honest with me from the beginning. I picture my dad's face, filled with warmth and pride, but now I see it overshadowed by disappointment and resentment. I wonder if he ever wanted to be a father to me, or if he's just been going through the motions all along. It's hard to reconcile the man who taught me to ride a bike and helped me with school projects with the person who just cut my life's trajectory into pieces. I often find myself standing at the window, looking out at the world moving on without me. The neighbors walk their dogs, kids ride their bikes, and the sun sets beautifully over the horizon. I feel like I'm trapped in a time capsule, frozen in a moment of grief and confusion, while life continues outside. I yearn for the days when I felt carefree, when my biggest worry was acing a test or deciding what to wear to school. I miss that innocence, the naivety that shielded me from the harsh realities that now loom large. In an attempt to cope, I've started writing in a journal. It's not much, but putting pen to paper helps clear my mind, if only for a moment. I scribble down my feelings, my fears, and even my anger. There's something cathartic about releasing my thoughts onto the pages, a small reprieve from the storm brewing inside me. I write letters to my future self, hoping that one day I'll look back and see how far I've come, that I'll find strength in this struggle. It's a way to hold on to hope, even when everything feels bleak. The other day, I mustered the courage to call the financial aid office at the college I got accepted to. My heart raced as I dialed the number, my palms sweaty with anxiety. I had prepared a script, but when the receptionist picked up, all my words flew out of my mind. I stammered through my questions, trying to gather information on how I could afford college without my dad's support. The lady on the other end was kind, patient even, guiding me through the steps I needed to take. As I hung up, a small flicker of hope ignited within me. Maybe, just maybe, I could find a way to make this work. Yet, with each step forward, the shadows of doubt creep back in. I wonder if I'll ever be able to forgive my mom for keeping this from me. How could she think it was okay to let me grow up without knowing the truth? I feel robbed of my identity, as if my whole life has been built on a foundation of lies. The anger surges again, this time mixing with a deep sense of betrayal that wraps around my heart like a vice. It's hard to understand how someone who professed to love me could keep such a monumental secret. There's a constant battle within me, torn between wanting to lash out and the need to understand her perspective. I want to demand answers, to question her motives, but every time I try to approach the subject, the words catch in my throat. I fear that once I open that door, it will lead to a confrontation that I'm not ready for. Instead, I keep it bottled up, creating an emotional chasm between us that seems to grow wider with each passing day. So here I am, pouring my heart out to you, Reddit. What do I do? Do I confront my dad again? How do I rebuild my life when I feel like the ground beneath me has completely crumbled? Should I apologize for something that feels so out of my control? I'm so lost and need some direction. If anyone has been through something similar, I'd love to hear your stories and advice. I can use all the help I can get right now. Thanks for reading, and I'll keep you updated as I try to find my way through this chaos.